Something very bad is about to happen in Venezuela, and if Maduro has any sense, he should be shaking in his boots. As we speak, the US is gathering a massive military force in the Caribbean that has one single target: Nicolas Maduro. Aircraft carriers, American bombers, and much more are on their way. If Maduro is not careful, the buildup could spell the end of his regime. So, what's happening? We'll start with the aircraft carrier. Right now, USS Gerald Ford is making its way to Venezuelan coast. This comes just a day after President Trump announced that he's looking at land strikes inside the country. Take a listen.
The next step in this war on cartels, and are you considering options, are you considering strikes on land?
Well, I don't want to tell you exactly, but we are certainly looking at land now because we've got the sea very well under control. We've had a couple of days where there isn't a boat to be found. And that, I view that as a good thing, not a bad thing. But we had tremendous amounts coming in by boats, by very expensive boats. You know, they have a lot of money, very fast, very expensive boats that were pretty big. And the way you look at it is every boat that we knock out, we save 25,000 American lives. So every time you see a boat and you feel badly, you say, wow, that's rough. It is rough, but if you lose 3 people and save 25,000 people, these are people that are killing our population.
Now, I'm sure you can see, statements like these and the fact that USS Ford is coming to Caribbean is getting Maduro very stressed. And that should not come as a surprise. USS Gerald Ford is the most advanced and most expensive aircraft carrier ever built. The construction started in 2005 and it took more than a decade to finish it. The ship was officially commissioned in July of 2017 and the estimated cost was more than $13 billion. That's nearly 3 times the price of Nimitz-class carriers. It features the electromagnetic aircraft launch system and advanced arresting gear, which replaces the older steam-powered systems, along with dual nuclear reactors, a redesigned island structure, and automation that allows it to operate with several hundred fewer crew members than its predecessors. Now, for me, the funniest part is that, as you guys can guess, the carrier is huge. It roughly displaces around 100,000 metric tons at full load. For comparison, the whole Venezuelan Navy has a total tonnage of 8,800, meaning Ford can carry the whole Venezuelan Navy on its deck and still have more than 90% room left. This means it has a lot of capabilities. It can embark around 90 aircrafts, including modern jets, electro-attack jets, early warning aircrafts, helicopters, and UAVs. And herein lies the true threat. In a scenario where the US executes strikes involving Venezuela, the presence of USS Gerald Ford gives the US a massive, mobile, sovereign airbase at sea. But you see, this may not be the only base we use near Venezuela. Let me show you what I mean. US troops are deploying to Trinidad and Tobago as we speak for a 5-day military exercise. Now, let's look at the map because I did not know how close these islands were to Venezuelan borders. Here, if we zoom into Venezuela on its northwestern borders, I guess, you can see that US troops are currently very, very close to the border. On top of this, we also have a lot of heavy military assets in Puerto Rico, which is a US territory and by far the closest US territory to Venezuela. People often forget that because they always talk about Florida. And on top of that, we have a lot of assets in the Caribbean. Here's a short list. We have USS Jima, USS Fort Lauderdale, USS San Antonio, Lake Erie, Gravely, Jason Dunham, Stockdale, and Ocean Trader. On top of this, we have 10 fighter jets, we have Seahawk and Black Hawk helicopters, more drones, and more than 4,000 Marines and sailors stationed nearby. Now, of course, as you guys can guess, this is not enough to do a land invasion. But nonetheless, that was a question that was asked to Secretary of War or Secretary of Defense, whatever you want to call him, Pete Hegseth. And this is what he said.
Not counter-cartel, as was mentioned. These are designated terrorist organizations. Foreign terrorist organizations. Our generation spent the better part of 2 decades hunting Al-Qaeda, hunting ISIS. Well, as the president said, this is the ISIS, this is the Al-Qaeda of the Western Hemisphere. They intimidate, they terrorize, they extort, They poison the American people. The president's right. Every boat we strike is 25,000 Americans whose lives are saved because of the drugs that were headed in our direction. So our message to these foreign terrorist organizations is we will treat you like we have treated Al-Qaeda. We will find you, we will map your networks, we will hunt you down, and we will kill you. And you've seen that evidence in the maritime domain, whether it's in the Caribbean or in the Pacific with the last 2 strikes. We know exactly who these people are. We know what networks they work with, what foreign terrorist organizations they're a part of. We know where they're going, where they originated from, what they're carrying. And they know we know. And that will soon start to change the calculus of these boats. So,
of course, we're talking a lot stronger than the capabilities we have in the region. But these statements still mean something, and it's scaring Maduro, because this is what he said just yesterday. And before I even play the clip, I want to put this PSA out there that we're not dubbing this. He was actually speaking in English, and this is what he said.
Not war, not war, not war. Just peace, just peace, just peace. Forever, forever, forever. Peace forever. No crazy war. No a la guerra loca. No crazy war, no crazy war. Please, please, please. Yes, peace. Peace forever. Peace forever. Victory forever defeats. Victory forever defeats. Esto se llama lenguaje tarzaneado. Si se traduce al español tipo Tarzán sería no guerra, no guerra, no querer guerra, no a la guerra de los locos. No a la locura, a la guerra. Esa sería la traducción, ¿verdad? Sí paz, sí paz, sí paz por siempre. Victoria por siempre de paz.
Now, as some of you guys may already know, that if US wants to go to war, they would have to coordinate with Congress, because after all, only Congress can declare war, not the executive branch. Well, guess what? This question was asked to the White House, and according to someone at the administration, it seems Trump will coordinate with Congress when Maduro's corpse is in US custody. Definitely a shocking statement coming from White House, but again, I do want to emphasize this is just some anonymous person. We don't know how high up he is and what the official policy is. It's shocking nonetheless. But according to the same article, it seems that the White House has already held multiple different classified briefings with members of Congress. And based on those meetings, President Trump has publicly said that no one in the Congress should have issues with his actions in Venezuela or around Venezuela. But then again, we have to take his statements with a grain of salt, because he has a habit of just speaking his mind and embellishing details a little bit too much. But one other thing that's also a bit shocking is the fact that Trump has approved covert CIA actions inside Venezuela, and he kinda confirmed it publicly too. I don't know if he meant to, but this is what he said.
Why did you authorize the CIA to go into Venezuela? And is there more information you can share about these strikes on the alleged
Well, I can't
drug
do
boats in
that,
the
but
Caribbean?
I authorized for 2 reasons, really. Number one, they have emptied their prisons into the United States of America. And the other thing are drugs. We have a lot of drugs coming in from Venezuela.
Does the CIA have authority to take out Maduro?
Oh, I don't want to answer a question like that. That's a ridiculous question for me to be given. Not really a ridiculous question, but wouldn't it be a ridiculous question for me to answer?
Now, of course, Maduro is using the CIA angle to get more and more of his supporters riled up and get them to join his military or militia, whatever you want to call it. But you see, that's where we see a big problem. If we look at Venezuelan bases from satellite, we can see that these military bases are not really operating at a country that's expecting an invasion or strikes. Now, this could be for 2 reasons. First of all, he does not have popular support inside the country. Nowhere close to it. In fact, in the most recent election that took place in July of 2024, so just a little more than a year ago, he actually lost by like a landslide. We don't have the exact numbers, but based on estimates provided by Venezuelan opposition who have some of the voting tallies or the receipts, it seems the opposition candidate won 70% of the vote. But according to official results, Maduro won 51% and opposition won 44%. The funniest part of this election result that Maduro published was the fact that they announced the national results or the national tally, but all the regional tallies don't actually add up to the number they announced. So they were lying, and they didn't even care to make sure their lie lines up to all the results they are publishing. They just made up the final number. This reminds me of the Stalin quote, which is like, it doesn't matter who's voting, it only matters who counts. And after all, it was Maduro's people who were counting the votes. But anyways, that was a bit of a tangent, but it does show us he does not have popular support inside the country. But the second reason why so many bases are operating well below their operating levels could be because a lot of the military has been moved near or outside Caracas, the country's capital, where we can assume where Maduro is hiding somewhere. Now, we don't know what's going to happen. Based on a recent CNN report, it seems that US is likely preparing strikes on drug or trafficking infrastructure and trafficking routes. We don't know where they would head, if they're going after the capital or just, other cities. Now, one thing we do know is 5,000 soldiers, even with all the navy we have in the region, is not enough for an invasion. Another important part that a lot of people are not talking about is the fact that there are a lot of Chinese people living in Venezuela. In fact, since 2000 and on, Venezuela and China had a very close relationship, and that means there's a lot of business going back and forth. So when I say a lot of Chinese people are living in Venezuela, I mean like hundreds of thousands of people. Of course, that's definitely not enough for China to get militarily directly involved, but it's still enough for China to be involved somehow. So let's see what happens. I have no clue, honestly speaking, but we'll keep an eye on whatever happens. And if you want to make sure you get updated on everything that's happening, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below.